DOA is my favorite fighting game franchise out there. The combat system, the characters, the story, um, the graphics. I mean, just as a package as a whole, Dead or Alive, I love that this franchise. And with the hype and the announcement of a DOA7, Dead or Alive 7, releasing in 2024, I've come up with a wish list of what I want in the game. Uh, and there's not a lot of information about it coming out. So this is all, I mean, none of this is probably going to happen. They probably won't even see this video. I mean, no one's probably watching this video. But I just, I'm going to make this wish list uh, just to start my channel out and just to show my love for this series. So, for my number one thing, and this wish list is not in order, so I'm just going to list a bunch of things off. The first thing that I want in Dead or Alive 7 is a well executed story. I know I said I love Dead or Alive as a whole, and I do, but there are some problems with this franchise. And I would say the second biggest problem is the way the story is executed in these games. Most fighting games don't really have good stories, and what I mean by that is, I mean, name me what the story of Street Fighter is. I mean, come on, what's that about? What's Tekken about? What's Mortal Kombat about? Like, no one casually knows what the story is really about. They just know the characters, recognize the music or the title. Um, and so I feel like it would be the perfect opportunity for Dead or Alive to be back on the map is to actually focus on their story. Really give the story thought and heart. And that right there just differentiates itself from any other fighting game out there. And this Dead or Alive has the potential to have a great story because in the past 6 games, mostly 1 through 4, the story has really been good. Like from an outside perspective, like it is a great story, but the way it's been executed in the games has been so poorly done. No one knows like what the heck is going on, and it's not very good. It's jumbled, and I mean it just doesn't really make sense. So I'm really wishing for a good story because I know the potential that the story in Dead or Alive can bring. The next on my wish list is talking about the story. If you're going to focus on the story, the combat still matters, but don't really add anything new. Like, just stay with the Dead or Alive 6 combat, because I think every Dead or Alive fan can agree that the Dead or Alive 6 combat combos, fighting style, all of that is literally almost perfect. Like, there's no other Dead or Alive game that's better in terms of the combat system in Dead or Alive 6. So honestly, you could just copy and paste that and it would be fine in Dead or Alive 7. I mean, you could tweak things here and there, but generally you don't really need to focus so much on that. I'm cool with a copy and paste. Next thing on my list is less characters in the roster. If you want to make a good story, if you're going to focus on the story, don't do 40 characters that basically kind of have nothing to do with the story. Maybe you might want to go back to a Dead or Alive 3 or 2 roster, which is small compared to the newer ones. Maybe you could add a few more characters, but it's good enough. That roster is good for a story. There's not so many characters where you don't have to jumble everything together and make no sense. And this leads me into my next wish. do not add DLC characters. This game does not need DLC characters that have nothing to do with the story. Don't get me wrong, I love the DLC characters. They're awesome to play with. But in this Dead or Alive 7, I feel like to make a difference in and be on the map, which I know Tecmo wants to do. They want to be on the map again. You really want this game to stand out, then don't add unnecessary characters that don't even have anything to do with the series or the game. And this is my biggest wish, and then this is not this is not confirmed. I haven't seen anything said by Team Ninja or Tecmo that they're actually going to do this, but there's been rumors going around that Dead or Alive 7 is a reboot of the whole franchise. And if that's true, that is awesome. And that's what I want. That is a huge wish for me, to just restart again. Just restart the whole thing. If you're going to do a story, really focus on the story. Keep it with the small roster and just same fighting system from DOA6 and just start again, because that's the best way to go with this series. The best way to go with this series. You're kind of at a dead end with Dead or Alive 6. And I feel like if you just keep going with sequels and sequels, especially with this crappy story, not crappy story, but the story you've executed terribly, it's just time to restart the whole thing. And I'm fine with keeping the same story. There can be tweaks in there with the characters and such. I wish more characters had more parity with each other, like the older games. And the newer games, they're just there. You know, they don't have parity with each other. Like Brad Wong, like what is he doing? He's just an alcoholic. Like, why? But yeah, I just feel like that's the best way to go with the series, is a reboot and just start all over again. Now, with my next wish, I'm really kind of conflicted on this one, because I love the graphics in DOA6 are great. Like they're well done. I don't know how better you can do than Dead or Alive 6. Like, great graphics. But there's some face models in the newer games compared to the old ones that just don't look as good as the old ones did, which is kind of weird. I know that has to do something with the engine. But like Helena Douglas, she looks... The contrast between Dead or Alive 5 and Dead or Alive 3, her face looks... I mean, it's almost like two different people. There's barely any similarity. And I feel like if they can, in this new reboot, if it will be a reboot, go back to the... And I don't know if it's possible with this engine, but go back to that older models, you know. And it makes more sense with the reboot because they look younger. So I hope they go back to those kind of older models with the new engine, if that is even possible. But of course, I don't know if anything on this video is possible. I'm just wishing, if it can, to happen. And then with the maps, Dead or Alive 2 through 4 has great maps. Even Dead or Alive 5 has great maps. Dead or Alive 6 is so disappointing in the maps. I mean, seriously, like, there's not very good maps. Like, Unforgettable, I think, is most fans' favorite map, which makes sense because it's actually a really good map, because it's a ripoff of all the old maps. So I really hope in this Dead or Alive 7 they add more maps, you know, and bigger maps, more transitional maps, where you're not just in one place the whole entire match. Like, you can go different places in the map, and kind of like Lost World. And yes, I want new maps though. I think bringing back some of the old ones is cool and needs to be done, but at the same time, new maps just brings a whole new feel to the series, and for a reboot, that just really works. Basically, all these wishes in my video, in this video, can only really be done in a reboot. If a reboot is not happening, it's just another sequel. These wishes would not make any sense at all. And this is gonna bring into my last point. My last wish for this game is the dead or alive characters. The franchise characters, the cornerstones. And the problem, I feel like the thing that has really killed Dead or Alive, the biggest thing that took it off the map and it stopped competing with the other gaming franchises like Street Fighter and Tekken and all that, is the sexualization of the girl characters. It is so annoying. And I know there's a group of Dead or Alive fans that are all for the jiggling stuff and basically the naked girls and all that. But I honestly believe that's a minority. Like, that is not the majority of your fan base. I really do not believe that. Because I know I'm not I don't like that stuff. And it's honestly annoying and distracting from the game. And it turns people off. Like, if you want a new fan base and you want a bigger fan base and you want more people to play this game, I know Tecmo and Team Ninja does. I know they want more people. They believe these games can be so good that millions and millions and millions of people will be playing them. And there are millions of people that still play this game, but it's still not at that peak that Dead or Alive fans know it can be, and so does Tecmo and Team Ninja. And I believe one of the biggest reasons why it's not at that peak is because the sexualization of the girl characters. This is too much. It's too much. And it just turns people off. It turns people off. Like, what 10-year-old and 12-year-old is actually going to go see Dead or Alive and be like, oh yeah, got all these naked girls everywhere and all that. Yeah, I can play that. Like, no. That's not good. So I feel like they need to just put a halt in that. Stop with, almost every outfit in Dead or Alive now is basically a girl naked. Come on. It's ridiculous. It ruins character development. That just needs to stop. That needs to go away. Okay, that's a huge thing for me, and that adds a lot into the characters of the game and how you think of them and how you treat them. So that's my plea, Tecmo and Team Ninja. So yeah, that's my wishes mainly for this game. I want to talk about Dead or Alive 7 more in the future, but it won't really fit in this video. I want to talk about who's going to be the protagonist and other characters in the franchise and all such, and the rumors that are coming, and so forth. So those will be in future videos. But anyways, that's my wish list for Dead or Alive 7. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.